Hello, plane. Let me show you guys the sky. Actually, it looks really pretty. And there's a plane going by. I was chilly, but now I think I'm gonna take off this jacket. It's like, okay. Hi, hello. Okay. Plane. Clouds. Clouds. Plane. Oh, my eyeballs. Staring into the sun. Hi. Isn't the sky pretty today? I think so. When the clouds come, though, it's a little chilly. So, I think I'll leave in the jacket. What do I do? I don't know. I got some different cuticle stuff coming in. I don't know why. This year, I feel like my cuticles are a lot. For I know that this is just the beginning and you're not finished. That's so pretty. Oh my gosh. The plane like went straight across the sun. You're not finished yet. Hello, have you eaten? Hold on 1 second, please. Hold on. He's asking for a drink. Have you rested? Are you resting? What else can I ask? What is this? Have you smiled? Have you laughed? I don't know what to do. I'm like torn between chilly and hot. Oh, the wind feels good though. Wow. What the heck is this? It keeps getting, get off me. I can teach math. I can teach math. Actually, have taught math to my son, and I used to homeschool someone years ago. So I am capable. It's just there's sometimes like in high stress situations, and the higher the math, that it's like the process is deep in my mind, and I can't explain it to somebody else. It's just like I see the answer. That part is very true. There's sometimes I just see the answer. I can't explain it to anybody else. I think it has to do with, and I've talked about this, that oftentimes, oftentimes I will know, even like in other things, non like math related, that I'll already see the answer. It's like, oh. So I think it's just to do with my, put too much lotion on now. It just has to do with how my brain works. I guess putting on lotion is also an OCD because it actually means compulsive, right? Something obsessive compulsive. I compulsively put on lotion. Anyway, moving on. Should I read the story first and then answer questions? That's what I think I'm going to do. I felt like I was supposed to read another story. It's obviously not going to be me whispering because here I am, um, outside. But I think I'm going to, um, I think I'm going to read another one. Thank you. Also, you guys have figured out it's what I do. I follow up. Pardon me. 1 second. Over here. Can you see me? Good. Okay. All right. Notes. Okay. Reading from this. What am I going to read? We have, look how, I love this. I love the art. Look at it. Okay. The problem is that some of these I know the, the problem is that some of these I know, and some of these are a little sad to me, so I don't want to read them. Or I should say I remember, because I've read this entire book. My son and I did, but I'll do the story bag. The story bag. You guys ready? There once lived a very rich family. They had only one child, a boy, who loved to have stories told to him. Whenever he met a new person, he would say, "Tell me another different story." And each time he would store away the story he heard in a small bag he carried at his belt. So many stories did he hear that soon the bag was packed tight, and he had to push hard to get each new story in. Then, to make sure that none of the stories escaped, he kept the bag tied tightly at the mouth. The boy eventually grew into a handsome young man. The time came for him to take a wife. A bride was chosen for him, and the whole house was preparing to greet the young master's new wife. Everything was in an uproar. Now, there had been to be in this rich home a faithful old servant who had been with the family ever since the time when the story-loving boy was still very young. As the household was preparing for the young master's wedding, this servant was tending a fire on the kitchen hearth. Suddenly, his ears caught faint whispering sounds coming from somewhere. He listened carefully and soon discovered that the voices were coming from a bag hanging on the wall. It was the bag of stories which the young master had kept in his childhood. Now it hung forgotten on an old nail on the kitchen wall. The old servant listened carefully. "Listen, everyone," said a voice. "The boy's wedding is to take place tomorrow. He has kept us this long while stuffed in this bag, packed so closely and uncomfortably together. We have suffered for a long time. You must make him pay for this some way or another." "Yes," said another voice. "I've been thinking the same thing. Tomorrow the young man will leave by horse to bring home his bride. I shall change into bright red berries ripening by the roadside. There I shall wait for him. I shall be poisonous, but shall look so beautiful that he will want to eat me. If he does, I shall kill him." "And if he doesn't die after eating the berries," piped up a third voice, "I shall become a clear, bubbling spring by the roadside. I shall have a beautiful gourd dipper floating in me. When he sees me, he will feel thirsty and he will drink me. When I get inside him, I shall make him suffer terribly." A fourth voice then broke in. "If you fail, then I shall become an iron skewer, heated red hot, and I shall hide in the bag of chaff that will be placed by his horse for him to dismount on when he reaches his bride's home, and when he steps on me, I shall burn his feet badly. Because you see, according to the custom of the land in those days, a bag of chaff was always placed at the bridegroom's horse, so that he would not have to step directly on the ground." Then a fifth voice whispered, "If that fails too, I shall become those poisonous string snakes, thin as threads. Then I shall head in the bridal chamber. When the bride and the bridegroom have gone to sleep, I shall come out and bite them." The servant was filled with alarm by what he had heard. "This is terrible," he told himself. "I must not let any harm come to my young master. When he leaves the house tomorrow, I must take the bridle and lead his horse myself. Early next morning, the final preparations were completed and the wedding procession was ready to set forth. The groom, dressed in his best, came out of the house and mounted his horse. Suddenly, the faithful servant came running out, grabbed the horse's bridle. He then asked to be allowed to lead the horse. The old master of the house said, "You have other work to do. You had better stay behind." "But I must lead the horse today," the servant said. "I don't care what happens, but I insist that I take the bridle." He refused to listen to anyone, and finally the master, surprised at the old man's obstinacy, allowed him to lead the horse to the bride's home. As the procession wound along its way, the bridegroom came to an open field. There by the roadside many bright berries were growing. They looked temptingly delicious. "Wait," the bridegroom called out. "Stop the horse and pick some of those big, juicy berries." However, the servant would not stop. In fact, he purposely made the horse hurry on and said, "Oh, those berries, you can find them anywhere. Just be a little patient. I shall pick some for you later." And he gave the horse a good crack of the whip. After a while, they came to a bubbling spring. Its clear water seemed cool and tempting. There was even a small gourd dipper floating on the water, as if to invite the passerby to have a drink. "Bring me some of that water," the bridegroom said to the servant. "I have been thirsty for some time." But again, the servant prodded the horse and hurried by. "Once we get into the shade of those trees, your thirst will soon disappear," he said, and he gave the horse another crack of the whip, a blow much harder than the first one. The bridegroom grumbled and mumbled from atop his horse. He was in a very bad mood, but the servant took no notice. He only made the horse go faster. Soon they reached the bride's home. There, already gathered in the yard, was a large crowd of people. The servant led the horse into the compound and stopped beside the waiting bag of chaff. As the bridegroom put down his foot to dismount, the servant pretended to stumble and shoved the bridegroom to keep him from stepping on the bag. The bridegroom fell onto the straw mats laid out on the ground. He blushed in shame at his clumsy fall. However, he could not scold the servant in front of all the people, so he kept silent and entered the bride's home. There, the wedding ceremony was held without untoward incident, and the newly married couple returned to the groom's home. Soon night fell, and the bride and bridegroom retired to their room. The faithful servant armed himself with a sword and hid himself under the veranda outside the bridal chamber. As soon as the bride and bridegroom turned out the lights and went to bed, the servant opened the door of the room and leapt inside. The newlywed couple were startled beyond description. "Who's there?" they both shouted, jumping out of the bed. "Young master," the servant said. "I shall explain later. Right now, just hurry and get out of the way." The servant kicked the bedding aside and lifted the mattress. A terrible sight greeted their eyes. Hundreds of string snakes coiled and wreathed in a single ball. The servant slashed at the snakes with a sword in his hand. As he cut some into pieces, they opened their red mouths and darted their black forked tongues at him. Other snakes slithered here and there, trying to escape the servant's flashing sword. The servant whirled here and there like a madman and finally killed every one of the snakes in the room. Then he let out a great sigh of relief and began to say, "Young master, this is the story." And the old servant recounted all the whispers that he had heard coming from the old bag and on the kitchen wall. That is why, when stories are heard, they must never be stored away to become mean and spiteful, but must always be shared with other people. In this way, they are passed on from one person to another so that as many people as possible can enjoy them. I really like that one. A lot. Right? Right? Because the lesson, right? Things shoved away, hidden, forgotten. Can sometimes become things that harm. Anywho, we share because we care. And to move forward. Let's see here. Maybe I'll just open from the back since this is, no order. So I'm going to open from the back here. Oh, did you guys hear that? Have you ever cheated at a test? I don't think so. I'm sure like I probably like glanced at somebody's table, but to be quite honest, well, I didn't wear my glasses or contacts, so really it didn't do anything. I probably just looked over like, how are they doing? You know what I mean? But I don't know that I've ever cheated. I've talked about this, how my English AP class, the final, everybody cheated off of me. But here's the thing of game of telephone, right? So like, let's say this person cheated off me. And they're like, hey, I'm cheating. So this person looks at this person, so on and so forth. Some people didn't get an A like I got an A. Some people got C's. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I got an A. I was minding my own business. It was not like a thought thing. They just let me know that they did it after we were done. What is one interesting fact about your ancestors? Well, I think I've already shared it. I've done like my ancestry stuff. But I grew up with my mom's side, and I was able to find more of their stuff just because I knew a bit more about their family. I don't know. I think I've shared this already. My paternal grandfather, his family, like, it's crazy the records that go back. We're from Texas even before it was Texas. Like, I mean, it was crazy how far it went back. So yeah. What is your favorite board game? Oh, I have so many. Ooh, if technology allowed, would you rather live under the ocean or high above the clouds? Ooh. Ooh. That's a hard one. I don't know. What would I do? I think I would live high above the clouds, even though I love the ocean so much. But it would always be dark, wouldn't it? I guess if you had technology, it wouldn't be dark. You'd have light. But I think about high above the clouds. I'm not talking about in space, just above the clouds. What is your favorite Pokemon? I don't know enough about, like, you guys have talked about this. My memory is horrible. There's a lot of cute ones. And apparently there's some new ones I just saw yesterday. There's like a fire dog. What was his name? Honbo? I don't remember its name. Is that what it is? Anyways, it was super cute. There's a water one too. I don't know its name. That one I liked. I liked its little fierceness looking. I liked the way that one looked more than that one was cute. But I forgot its name, you guys. There's one that I always like, and when I would play, I always liked its abilities too. My memory's horrible. Oh, my memory's horrible. There's one that's a moon too. I like that one. That world's full evolution. Anyway, moving on. I don't know its name. Have you ever been to the opera or ballet? Which was better? I've never been to the opera, but I have been to the ballet, and it was beautiful. I would go again. Have you ever bought someone flowers? Yes. This is just a funny question. A dog is man's best friend, and diamonds are a girl's. What is your best friend? Has your life gone according to how you envisioned it? No, and thank God. Have you ever served on a jury? Have you ever served on a jury? What type of case was it? No, I have gone to jury selection, as it's something that happens here. You get randomly chosen. And I made sure they understood that I was like, you should not choose me for these reasons. Because it was a car incident. Anyway, it was a car accident incident. And I was like, I'm biased for this reason because I've been in a similar car accident, and I really think the person's guilty. They moved on, and I was like, basically, I didn't want to do it. I was like, I'm not doing this with you. I had to prove over and over that was biased, so that way they would not choose me. Some of these are just making me chuckle because of how they correlate to the thing I love most. Well, you guys know what I'm saying, right? A group of something that I love most. Moving on from that, the question, has anyone ever cheated on you? Did you forgive them or could you? And so I said, moving on from that, no. Do you eat leftovers? Yes. And whom do you confide in most often? Kimberly. Do you think the supernatural exists? Yes. If you were a scratch and sniff sticker, what would you be? I think it'd be something that's like cherry almond. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Where was the most romantic date you ever had? I don't know if I've had that yet. Let me think. There were moments, don't get me wrong, that like I was like, oh, I love this. But I don't think I've felt like, wow, this is so romantic. Do you pray? Yes. Can you play the harmonica? I'm sure if I tried, I could. Never actually. Wait, did I? I don't know. Harmonicas get real, spit filled, saliva filled, and I don't know. I don't think I did because my son had his mouth on it. And I don't know, but like to actually play something. Anyway, I'm sure if I tried, I could. Just a little bit longer. And I say adieu. Have you ever written a love letter? Yes. Have you ever smoked a cigar? Would you, and for what occasion? Have I ever smoked a cigar? I don't think I've ever smoked like a legit fat, like cigar, like a proper cigar. I've been in a cigar bar before. I don't think I've ever smoked a proper cigar. I'm saying it that way because back in the day, believe it or not, I've lived life. And back in my going out and partying days, my cousin used to smoke, I don't know, I think they're just cheap cigars. Truly. There's a brand that is well known here, and it starts with a B. Those are just cheap. Are they even real cigars? I have no idea. Anyway, point being is I'm pretty sure during that time I would have tried it. I've never bought a pack of anything or anything like that's not my story. But I'm sure if she did, I'm sure I tried it. But my lungs have always been very sensitive. So anyway, moving on. Moving on. Name one thing you did where the risk was well worth the reward. This whole story, everything, all of it. Do you shout out the answers at the TV while watching quiz shows? Yes. Have you ever participated in a reenactment? If so, what did it recreate? Does at home count? And it's any story that my son reenacts, and he'd like me to play along with him if it's from a movie. Moving on. Thank you, God. I felt that. Nope, don't do it. That's why. Okay. Thank you, God. This is getting long. Have you ever been in a hot air balloon? No. Are you right or left-handed? Have you tried becoming ambidextrous? I'm right-handed, but I am ambidextrous, and that's because I broke my hand, broke my right hand wrist, broke my right wrist twice, had a hairline fracture the third time. So, I had to learn how to use my left hand to do stuff, and that's how I became ambidextrous. I don't remember if before I would use both hands. I do now. I think we all do it to some extent, right? Wow. Some of these. Trying to find a fun one. or a very, lighthearted one. What's your first thought upon waking up? You. It's bad. All of you. Genuinely. It is. Why is it bad? Because it should be God. It should be God, then you. But if I'm being completely honest, it depends. If I had a dream, if like I say, like really quickly, I talk to God then. I say something. Predominantly speaking, it's all of you. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and attention. I really, 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 really appreciate it. I hope you have a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever it may be for you. Let me show you the clouds one more time before I say goodbye. All right. I love you. Have a good day, night, evening, morning, whatever it may be for you. Thank you for your time and attention. Bye.